Welcome to Anatomy and Physiology. This is Chapter 6, our first video. So in this chapter, we're going to be looking at the anatomy and physiology of bones. So with this, the first thing we're going to do is talk about the major functions of bone in the body. And obviously, a couple of them are really prominent. So the first one is structure and support. So our internal structure, which is an endoskeleton, is different than some other animals that have their structure on the outside, like an insect or a crustacean, like a crab. They have exoskeletons and everything inside is soft. We are a little bit different in that our internal structure is supported from the inside. We do have protections like we saw with the integumentary system to help us protect, but we are supported by an internal framework. So it gives the shape of our body and support. And we did mention protection. So not only does it provide for support, sometimes we can encase something within a bony structure. So for instance, the cranium, the skull bones protect the brain. The brain is a vital organ. The sternum or the breastbone protects things underneath it, the rib cage. So we do have some protection, but it's not over our entire body with bone. Without our bones, we would not be able to move, so it assists in movement. So it is the anchor site for muscles. So skeletal muscles involved with the skeletal system. So we have different features on bone that we'll talk about that are buildups, that are attachment points for our muscles. And if you recall, we had attachments for muscles or tendons. So we have three other structures, and these are kind of ones that people normally don't think of right away, but they are just as important. Number 4 is blood cell production. And that's pretty important. So we have red bone marrow. And this red bone marrow is found in the ends of long bones in our body, in the ribs, the pelvis, the bones that make up the pelvis, the sternum, and the skull bones. So these areas help make all of our different blood cells. And they are rich in blood on the ends of these long bones inside of the bones. But we have another color of marrow. Red is going to be very rich in blood, but the marrow that you might think of, like if you have a ham bone or a round steak and you see the inside of the bone, it looks like it's a bunch of fat. Well, guess what? That's what it is. So we have triglyceride storage in some bones. And that is yellow bone marrow. And this is usually in the shaft area of long bones. And there's always some risk whenever you break, like your femur, your thigh bone. Some of those triglycerides can get dislodged into your blood system and cause what is known as a fat embolus or fat embolism, which means it's a blockage. So anytime where they do surgeries, that's always one of those things that could happen, but it's very rare. And then our last one is our favorite term, homeostasis. But in this case, we're looking at mineral homeostasis. So two things in particular, calcium and phosphorus in our body can be stored in the bone, but we have processes in which we can store calcium And then we can remove calcium if we need to, because calcium is used in other areas. The same thing for phosphorus. So these are all functions that we're going to explore with bone.